Welcome to Everything You Need to Know About the Ascension of Humanity, the podcast where ancient wisdom meets modern science and spiritual evolution gets real. I'm Heather, an energy healer, channel, and spiritual coach with Divine Ascension Company. Each week, we're diving deep into the mysteries of human consciousness, spiritual awakening, and the profound transformation happening within us and around us. But here's the thing. We're not doing this with our heads in the clouds. We're bringing neuroscience, psychology, quantum physics, and cutting-edge research to the table alongside meditation, energy work, and timeless spiritual teachings. Because the truth is, the ascension of humanity isn't some far-off cosmic event. It's happening right now in the choices we make, the awareness we cultivate, and the healing we do within ourselves. Whether you're curious about how mindfulness literally rewires your brain, why shadow work is backed by depth psychology, or what coherence between your heart and mind actually means scientifically, you're in the right place. We'll explore practices like breathwork, meditation, and emotional alchemy, not as abstract concepts, but as tangible tools grounded in both spiritual wisdom and scientific understanding. And here's where it gets even better. In our bonus episodes, you'll hear from real people sharing real stories. These are the warriors, the healers, the everyday seekers who've walked through their own darkness and found their light. They'll share their breakthroughs, their struggles, and the resources that actually helped them along the way. Because personal growth isn't a solo journey, and you deserve to know you're not alone. So whether you're just beginning to question the nature of reality, or you're deep in your spiritual practice, this podcast is your companion on the path. It's time to expand, to awaken, and to rise together. Let's begin. Hey, it's Heather. Today I'm talking with Amy, a dream therapist and interpreter from the UK, who has one of the most interesting origin stories I've heard. After a bike accident left her bedbound for a year, Amy turned back to making dreamcatchers. Something she learned at 14 from a Native American who taught her you can only make them in a positive state of mind. That practice forced her to find something good in every single day, and it literally saved her life. We're diving into everything dreams. Why your brain talks to you in symbols, what nightmares are really about, how to interpret those weird random images that make no sense, and the actual process of dream therapy. Amy also shares her experiences with prophetic dreaming, including predicting her parents' car crash weeks before it happened, and astral projection that still terrifies her. If you've ever wondered what your dreams actually mean, or why you keep having that reoccurring nightmare, this is going to answer a lot of questions. Let's get into it. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Everything You Need to Know About the Ascension of Humanity. Today's guest is Amy. She's got an awesome story, and I can't wait for you guys to hear about it. Amy, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. It's a pleasure. So why don't you go ahead and jump in and tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm Amy. I'm over in the UK. I am a dream therapist and interpreter and dreamcatcher artist. I'm fascinated by all things dream. I learnt to make dream catchers when I was 14. I was actually taught by a Native American who was on holiday over here, and I befriended his children. So I learnt that way. It was a bit of a hobby, but dreams had fascinated me for years. Had a weird experience after my granddad died, where I woke up in the night and I saw him, and I never really knew whether I was dreaming, whether I was awake. And then following that, sort of around the time I was 13, I had what they call a futuristic dream, where I was astro projecting in my sleep, and I predicted my mum and dad's car crash. Luckily, everyone was fine, but I dreamt this exact car crash for weeks until it happened, and it drove me insane. So I've always had this affinity with dreams, and then I had a bike accident when I was 31. So yeah, 8 years ago this year, I had a bike accident, which left me bedbound, which meant I had to currently close the business I was. It left me bedbound for a year. and I suffered deep depression, trauma from the accident. I was a mum. My daughter was 5, coming up for 6. Couldn't do mum things. I was laid in bed. I couldn't do anything for myself, let alone my daughter.
Right.
So I started crafting again to try and help my mental health,
Mm-hmm.
and get me out of the lull of daytime telly and 4 walls that I was surrounded in that I couldn't leave.
Right.
Um, and I picked up my dream catchers again because I was always taught that you can only make a dream catcher if you're in a positive state of mind.
Mm-hmm.
So they kind of forced me every day to try and find a positive in each day so I could do what I love doing. Um, and so I got into it that way. So they helped heal me. And then over time, I turned that into a business, and the business has now grown, and I've qualified as a dream therapist and interpreter after having some dream therapy myself through trauma from
Mm-hmm.
the accident and various other traumas in my life. The plague doing me with nightmares that I didn't really understand, so gave dream therapy a go, and it really aligned with me. Not only did it work, but it made my heart sing. So I followed that route and I did my diplomas, and that's where I am now, really.
That's amazing. Um, when you were going through the dream therapy for yourself, what was the most surprising thing that you learned about dream therapy, about your dreams, about how the dreams teach you, pretty much anything there?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway for me was the brain retraining. I've suffered with my mental health on and off for years, but the fact that everyone sees dreams as lots of images or randomness, and it's really not. It's your subconscious and your conscious are open at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's the only time they're open at the same time is when we're asleep, which is why everything comes through jumbled. But the brain is really clever and it hides things or shows you things that you might relate to. So you might see a rose, and the rose in your dream, you think, "Ah, it's just a rose. A rose is a rose." Uh, But because we're in this society and our brains have developed into this massive language hyper system, the brain communicates with us in images. And it's like it's telling you about romance and love and that you're loved. And it's like a rose is more than just a rose. And we see it in everyday life, we just don't relate it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was my biggest takeaway is the stuff that we relate every day, like road signs and stuff. We do everything in images from emojis to, road signs and TV pictures, everything's picture form. And our brain is trying to communicate with us in picture form in a way that it thinks we'll understand,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And yeah, it's nice to be able to feel whole that I can understand what my brain's trying to tell me in my sleep
Mm-hmm.
and help others heal that way.
So, what do you think the point of dreams are? Like, why do we have dreams?
Um, there's so much. There's still not a lot of concrete evidence of why we have dreams. I personally, I'm quite spiritual as well as quite scientific, so for me, it kind of marries in hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
That for me, it's our brain trying to relate what we need to know. That we are so busy in our day to day waking life that we don't pause, and when we're asleep, we actually pause for however long we sleep for. So it's the brain trying to tell you what you need to know
Mm-hmm.
in as quick form and in as memorable form as absolutely possible. But there's still a lot of controversy from psychologists and spiritual people and scientists that are still trying to work out why or how they come about and what their meaning is, because every living thing from plants to animals needs to sleep. Anything with a biological system needs sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and there's never been any concrete evidence as to why we need it, other than our bodies heal themselves in their sleep and our bodies do a lot of work in their sleep. But ever since there's been man, there's been sleep. And ever since there's been sleep, there's been dreams. It's kind of like evolved with humanity.
Mm-hmm. So what's your take on like nightmares and sleep paralysis and those kinds of things? What are those? What's the
So for me, nightmares are hidden trauma. Um, so from a dream therapist point of view, most nightmares relate to hidden trauma in one form or another, even if they don't make sense. The subconscious hides so much. Because when we're asleep, our memory banks are everything we've taken in during the day. It all goes into our memory data drive, so to speak. Our little computer bank in our brains that stores all our memories, but they get jumbled up because there's a lot of days in someone's life. There's so many memories from day to day. And all these memories get jumbled up, and there's hidden trauma, and the brain and the body and the mind are really clever at hiding things that we're not ready to deal with
Mhm.
yet. Um, you know, we're not ready to admit that at some point in our life we might have been a victim of bullying or worse, or we've just tried to survive and get on. And nightmares are that trauma coming about in a different way to tell you that you kind of need to get this dealt with. It's hidden trauma coming to the surface.
Mhm.
Especially
Is there a way to unlock that subconscious part of your mind to kind of make it less jumbled or to release some of those things that it's hiding from you?
yeah, so when we do dream therapy, we start talking to, like, I get my clients to be every part of the dream. So I'll say to them, like, if they're swimming, what does the water feel like? If you were the water, what would that feel like? Like, coming from the water's perspective or coming from the grass's perspective. If you're walking on it, what does it feel like? Um, to try and unlock the deeper meaning of each little bit to awaken the system. And then we build from that into trying to find the positive in the dream. So we rewrite the negative.
That kind of answers my next question. I was going to ask because you said a rose is more than just a rose, it could be
Yeah.
X, Y, or Z. How do you kind of go through the process of figuring out what exactly that rose means?
Yeah, I mean, as an interpreter, there's obviously baselines that we work from. Like, weddings are always about union and success and commitment in work and life. And so there's baselines, but how that wedding's projected in your dream can change it from positive to a negative. And even down to colours, different colours have different meanings. So some people, like, when you put on coloured glasses, coloured sunglasses, and they turn the room red or whatever, um, you can have tinted dreams where everything has a kind of a red tint to it, which kind of means your brain's trying to warn you of something. Um, now, if it's green, everything's neutral and you're in a nice, peaceful state of mind at the moment and everything's going well. So it's even down to, like, the colours in the dream. So when I interpret dreams, I kind of interpret a baseline, and I'm like, but you have to consider what you were doing when you saw that symbol. Like, were you holding the rose? Were you throwing the rose away? Were you being given the rose? You know?
Mhm.
And that then can take on a whole different meaning.
Right. That makes sense. What's your favorite part about doing dream interpretation and therapy?
I love that my job is different day to day. With every client, it's different. I can go from interpreting the silliest little things, like somebody gave me money in a dream, to I took a fish for a walk on the moon. Day to day, my my day-to-day job is different. No day is the same. And at the end of a lot of sessions with clients, and they're ready for the next step or the next stage of therapy, or they feel like they're ready to leave therapy and go on their own for a little while, the sense of relief from watching someone heal, that's the biggest reward for me and the best part about my job.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. And you don't have to share this if you don't want to, but what's the most interesting dream interpretation that you've ever had?
Um, Sorry, I just needed a drink. For me, strange because they're so different day to day. Actually, my own dreams are quite erratic. And not for any other reason than I take medication. So a lot of my dreams are very random. Same as women on the menopause, their dreams are just horrendous. I had a lady message me on TikTok the other day. She was a business friend of mine. She's like, I dreamt my house was on fire. I'm like, were you all safe? She's like, yeah. I'm like, it's fine. Was there anyone in the house? She's like, no. I'm like, then actually, it wasn't a bad thing. She was like, oh, okay. No, it's so random. It's hard to pinpoint the best one because they're literally changing day in, day out.
Okay, let me rephrase the question. What's the weirdest, and not the interpretation part, but like just the surface visual aspect of it? What's the weirdest dream that you've heard about?
A polar bear walking an octopus in the ocean. That was that was a good one. Um, yeah, like I say, they're random. They're very random, and a lot of the really random ones come from my menopause ladies or my ladies on medication.
Mhm.
I'm like, oh, what medication do you take first? Like, this is totally like off the charts random. Do
Mhm.
you take medication? They're like, yeah, we take really strong painkillers. I take a sleeping tablet. I'm like, right, now I know what I'm working with. Because obviously medication can affect our sleep, it affects our REM sleep. Menopause massively affects our REM sleep and our hormones, and hormones play a massive part in imagery and stuff with the brain.
So, with that being said, and especially for that example, like how does the medication and the menopause affect the dream? Like when they tell you that, yeah, I'm on medication or I'm going through menopause, how does that change the way that you interpret their dreams?
I kind of baseline it as to I take each symbol, I then break the dream down into lots more smaller parts and try and work out and work backwards as to what the brain's actually telling us and what's a psychedelic influence as such. Because of when obviously menopause, your hormones are heightened, same as like when you're pregnant. I don't know if you when you're pregnant, I know that I had some really random dreams because your body's all over the place and your hormones are battling each other, and your REM sleep is affected and your sleeping patterns are affected. And when they're affected, it actually plays a big part in your dream state.
Hmm.
Because if you don't get a full REM cycle because it's been disturbed, then you don't get a full dream cycle.
Right. So I gotta ask, you've piqued my curiosity here. What exactly does a polar bear walking an octopus in the ocean mean?
Well, polar bears are generally sort of um they're actually in my upcoming book. Bears are a sign of protection. Octopuses are normally because you're juggling too much.
Hmm.
And water, if you're underwater, it can be a sign of you're drowning in everything you've got going on, you're overwhelming yourself. So for me to interpret it, that was like you're juggling too many things. This polar bear is trying to protect you, like it's trying to say, you need to let someone else take the lead or help you out here because you're overwhelming yourself and you're juggling too much all at the same time.
Yeah, it's dreams have always been fascinating to me too because I have really crazy vivid dreams all the time. And it's interesting to hear like how that seemingly random image that doesn't make any sense actually does have meaning. And once you break those components down, they do make sense. Like the
Yeah,
juggling too much and feeling like you're drowning and the protection. Like it really does build a coherent,
yeah,
meaning despite
yeah.
seeming randomness.
Yeah, that's it. It's all about breaking down each symbols. Like I say to my clients, journaling your dreams is one of the best tools to helping yourself break it down and helping yourself work through it. But when you go to buy dream journals, they're either little paragraphs or you know, not every dream journal is right for every client.
Mhm.
So I say to them, I always say the simplest way is to just grab a notebook and a pen and paper, put it next to your bed. You don't need to spend loads of money on expensive dream journals and
Mhm.
this, that, and the other until you find one that's right for you. Just put a notebook next to your bed, and it doesn't have to make sense. Even if you just catch two or three symbols in the dream and you write them down, we can work from it.
Mhm. I bought a really pretty dream journal and it was cool because it had the heading where it's like, okay, the date, was this a prophetic dream, like what kind of dream do you think it was, and then it gave you the rest of the page to um explain the dream, and then the next page had some other questions, and then it was like, okay, now what do you think your interpretation of the dream was? And because my dreams are so vivid and so long, sometimes I would be writing page after page just to explain the dream, and it
Yeah,
setup wasn't ideal for me. And I also noticed that when I did wake up to record the dream, I had a really hard time reading my own handwriting from being in that, just waking up stage. And I would actually just grab my phone and create a voice note and just tell my dream into the phone and then go back and do the writing and the interpretation later.
yeah. I mean, that's another great way of doing it. And I sometimes do that because I do have pathetic dreams every now and again,
Hmm.
like the car accident. And I always know when I've had one because I actually wake up in a cold sweat. But I wake everyone else out up in the house apparently when I have them,
Oh, wow.
because I talk them out in my sleep if I'm having a pathetic dream, and I tend to sit bolt upright. So it kind of worries everyone else in the house. As far as I know, I'm asleep and I'm living this dream and I'm astro projecting and doing whatever. So I've started voice noting them rather than writing them down because I'm just so disorientated when I come round because I'm cold sweating and I'm like, was that real? Am I here? Like, was I in the room? Am I awake? Where the hell am I? Am I at my house? Am I at my partner's house? Where am I?
Hmm.
Like, yeah, I tend to voice note them too because if they're really vivid, voice note is the best way to go.
Hmm. So you've mentioned astral projection twice now. Can you explain kind of what that experience is like for you?
Terrifying. Um, if I'm honest, because I don't know I'm doing it. I'm not one of these amazingly spiritual people that has control over it. It happens like once in a blue moon, and normally when it's something really important I need to see. I think I can count on maybe six fingers the amount of times I've astro projected.
Hmm.
Um, but each time has been incredibly scary. I say three of them were the car accident.
Oh, wow.
Um, and the other one was I used to lead a paranormal team um, locally. I used to be a medium on a paranormal team.
Hmm.
And there was a house we were due to do. And for some reason, I astro projected to this house and I ended up cancelling it. And the team got really, really upset with me. And I'm like, yeah, we shouldn't be going there. One of us is going to get hurt. And they're like, huh? I'm like, I've seen it. I've been to the house in my sleep. Something bad has happened. There was an ambulance and one of us is going to get hurt. So I'm not going.
Right,
And I've cancelled it. And they're like, but you cancelled it for everyone. I'm like, well, yeah, because I want you all to be safe too.
right.
Um, you know. And to be fair, if it wasn't for my parents' car accident, I probably wouldn't have done that. For weeks, I made my mum and dad go this different route to one of my children's car. Well, 14, I was going to Army Cadets because when I was 13, I wanted to join the Army. I wanted to be an Army nurse. Um, so we have Army Cadets over in the UK, which is for like 13 to 18-year-olds who want to join the Army evening club. We do all military things, but geared for children, and it's great for your CV and stuff. I'd been going there for a year or so, and I made my parents take a different route for 3 weeks, and then the road was closed.
Oh
I was
no.
like, don't take the other route. I just won't go. And Dad's like, no, we'll go this way. You can't miss it. You've got this coming up. And I'm like, okay, I don't want to take this route. I'd been telling my mum and dad that I've been dreaming this route. Something's going to happen. Please don't take that route anymore. But we had to take this route, and we were hit by a drunk driver.
Oh, wow.
Come around the corner. My dad had not long had hip surgery. He'd just been cleared to drive and walk again. Threw his hip out. We were all very shaken. Apart from that, we were all fine. But literally, as we got to the hedge that I saw in my dream, I held the seat before the car got there. My dad's like, what? And then next thing my dad knew we were in the hedge, and I'm like, I told you. I really told you not to take that route.
Mm-hmm.
But the road was closed, and that was something I hadn't seen, was that no matter what, we were going to have to take that route at some point.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, after that, I started paying more and more attention to the more pathetic dreams that woke me up in cold sweats, because I'm like, no, this is real. This is me coming out of my body and seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
And it terrifies me, even now. Like, I've had a few of them now, and I understand them better now, and this is what I do for a living. I dread the day I have the next one,
Yeah.
because they terrify me. I have no control. I can't wake myself up. I have to wait until it's over,
Interesting.
and then hope that it doesn't happen, or someone is spiritually. When I do that, I only tend to see the bad and not the good. So I don't astral project into anything nice. That makes sense. Which is obviously my spirit guides protecting me from whatever's coming up. But yeah, I never seem to throw myself into anything nice.
Well, you should ask them. Be like, hey, let's
Yeah,
let's balance the scale here. Give me something good.
yeah, yeah. It would be nice.
So I want to go back to something you were talking about in the very beginning about the dream catchers. What exactly do they do? Like I was always told, I had one when I was a kid that hung above my bed because I had when I was buried alive in a past life, and I remember as a child crying to my mom that I didn't want to go to sleep because I didn't want to.
Yeah.
So I had, the dream catcher above the bed because it's supposed to catch your nightmares and stuff like that. And I've heard like these girls who get dream catchers tattooed on their skin is like a bad idea because you're catching that negativity and now it's in your body, right? So how exactly do they work and what do they mean?
So, as on a general whole, they catch your nightmares and let the good dreams come through. However, different tribes, they have different meanings or abilities. The Lakota tribe actually give them to you at birth, and they carry all the positives in your life, all your goals, all your awards, and you take that through as it manifests your dreams. Um, the Cherokee tribe, which where I learned from, they catch your bad dreams and only let good dreams through, but you can cleanse them, and a lot of people don't know that. And I'm forever telling my Facebook communities every week, have you chucked your dream catcher in the sunlight this week to eat away the badness that's on there? Because they work like a spider's web. And that's exactly what they're based off. They're based off the Spider Queen, who, or goddess, depending on tribal story, who made this wonderful web to protect the children from the dark shadows. And then she taught the grandmas and the aunties, and then they made them for the children to go over the cradles and the teepees so that the children wouldn't have the dark shadows plague them in the night. But you can cleanse them because, like a spider's web, so like I say, when you look at a spider's web and it gets full of flies, the spider then comes along and eats them.
Hmm.
A dreamcatcher web eventually is going to get full of all this negative stuff. And the only way to get rid of darkness is the light.
That makes
So
sense.
I was always taught to hang mine in a window for a couple of hours each week just to cleanse the web because the light will always beat the dark.
Hmm.
Which is what a lot of people don't realise, and they leave them up for years and years and years, and then they say to me, "Boy, I dreamcatcher about 20 years ago in America or wherever they were, or in India," and I brought it back and like I started having nightmares again. Don't work. I'm like, probably because you've never cleansed it in 20 years, and they're like, "You cleanse them?" I'm like, "They're a spider's web.
Hmm.
Spiders eat flies, light eats dark."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so they, as a whole, they catch um, negative dreams, which is why when I was taught to make them, you can't feel negative when you make them
Mm.
because obviously they pick that up.
Right.
So I always have high vibe music on in my workshop. So I'm normally singing my high vibe happy tunes
Mhm.
really badly, I have to say, because I can't sing, but it makes me happy.
That's
And I have
awesome.
all this high vibe stuff on in my workshop, and I cleanse my workshop with sage every month just to keep all the negative stuff out of there because that's where I make all these things that are positive and catch nightmares, and I don't want them catching any negativity from inside around me.
Hmm. So do you sell them?
Yep, yep. So I sell them alongside my obviously my therapy services. But yeah, I sell them. I have a little stall like this time of year, Christmas time of year.
Hmm.
I'm out every weekend selling them
Nice.
um, before the January season gets quiet. But yeah, I sell them, and that's how I started. That's how Rainbow Pooch Dream Solutions come along. It was literally just me making dream catchers, giving them to a few friends who had market stalls, so that I could make a few to be able to afford to make a few more. They just got really popular really quick,
Wow.
and it gave me a purpose again, and it helped me get out of my hospital bed because I felt like I had a purpose and a reason to other than my daughter to keep going.
Hmm.
And I also wanted my daughter to see that just for the brief time that my leg didn't work, for all of 8 years, um, that she could still achieve her dreams. And I always wanted my own business anyway at some point. So it was like, do you know what? Just because my leg doesn't work doesn't mean I can't achieve my dreams and do what I love doing. And now she's 14 and she's kind of taken that to heart, you know.
That's
She
awesome.
writes little positive messages on my whiteboard every week, like, "You're doing so well, Mum. Well done. Really proud of you. I've seen you struggle. Now look at you go." And I'm like, "Oh, I love you, kid." But it's taught her that no matter what life's thrown at Mum, that Mum's still going out and achieving her dreams and doing what she's always wanted to do. And she's starting to do that now, too.
Awesome. That's amazing. And congratulations. Good for you. That's awesome. I love hearing stories like that because there's so much in life that can drag you down and just be overwhelming and really be life altering, especially an
It,
accident. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, it was a dark time. They told me I'd never walk again. And I
wow.
was kind of in this hospital bed, looking at my daughter, looking at my ex-husband, going, "Is this it? This is me in a hospital bed. I'm 31. I'm in a hospital bed for the rest of my life. Like, where's my life?"
Hmm.
Um, and I kind of lost me in the midst of that, and I lost a lot of motherhood because I lost a lot of opportunities because my little one was really little. So by the time I did start learning to walk again, or got strong enough that I could take a few steps, even though it's aided even now, but it's better than where I was.
Right.
I lost a lot of all the things that mums get to do with their children. And I was always told at 16 I was never going to be able to have children. So when I had the miracle of my daughter, the thought of missing out on playing catch and running around with her was even harder
Mm-hmm.
because I had my dream. I had all what I ever wanted. All I ever wanted was to be a mum and to run my own business and join the army. And I'd already done the army thing, and I was doing the mum thing, and I was starting the business, and I had everything I ever wanted, but I couldn't do what I wanted to do with my child. And I
Yeah.
was in a really, really dark place. With the help of the dream catchers and forcing myself to be positive
Mm-hmm.
and find like the silver lining each day. The dream catchers really helped pull me through some real dark times and gave me a purpose again, a reason to try and get out of my bed.
And even though you missed out on some of those opportunities, like look at the things that you've taught your daughter through the experiences that you've gone through, and the person that she sounds like she's, you know, growing into is beautiful as well.
And the other thing is, kids don't really notice. Like I say to her, I never got to play catch with you. She was like, didn't you? I'm like, oh, cheers, kid. She's like, Mum, I was 3. Like, I'm going to remember anyone teaching me to play catch. She's like, I know I can throw a ball and know I can catch it. She's like, but memories don't really kick in till we're like 3, 4, 5. First 3 years of my life kind of get lost. So the things that I missed out on, she only has vague recollections of anyway. She just remembers I was there and I was doing my best, and she remembers the accident. She remembers me being in bed. She don't really the little things that I class as the major things I missed out on. She classes them as so little that she's not really fast, especially now it's just me and her. Um, yeah, and it's like, so yeah, but you do all this stuff and run a business and you homeschool mum and you're like, you're there for me every day. And I'm like, oh yeah. She's like, and you've only got one working leg. And I'm like, yeah, I did all right. She's like, yeah,
It
yeah,
sounds
all
like
right.
you're making an impact for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
That's good. Awesome. Well, it was a pleasure speaking with you, and the whole dream thing is so fascinating to me. So I'm glad that I got to chat with you about that because you answered some questions, and hearing some of these stories and knowing that, you know, these crazy vivid dreams are meaningful is important. So thank you so much.
No, you're more than welcome.
Awesome. All right. Well, maybe I'm thinking I might be doing like some in the future, I might be doing some like segments about things. So if because there's so much that goes on with dreams and what they mean and the interpretation. And if I do that, I would love to have you back on so we could kind of dive into that a little bit more.
Oh, I'd love to come back. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. Well, thank you again. And I really appreciate you taking the time.
No, you're more than welcome. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope something in this conversation resonated with you, and if it did, I'd love to stay connected. If you've been seeing repeated numbers everywhere and wondering what they mean, I created a free guide just for you. It breaks down the most common angel numbers and what your guides might be trying to tell you. You can grab that link at www.divineascensionco.com/angel-numbers. And if you're feeling called to work together, whether that's activating your mission, clearing what's blocking you, or just figuring out what the heck your soul is trying to tell you, let's chat. You can book a discovery call through the link in the show notes. I'll catch you on the next episode. Until then, trust what you know.